Hello, my name's Angela Yore and I'm the project mentor for Project Financial Crime at the Payments Association. And I'm here today with Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hello, Angela.
Hi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. I'm Jane G. I'm the project lead for Project Financial Crime at the Payments Association.
Brilliant. So we're just, before we start on giving you an update, this is a very, very busy group and a very impactful group where we hold a lot of influence with a lot of the work we've been doing this year. Just wanted to get, encourage more people to get involved by telling you who's already involved, what we're involved in, and really to give you that insight into Project Financial Crime. So, currently at the minute in the group, we have representation, real experts, deep dive experts in financial crime that have influence on government, regulators, on the industry, on innovation. And we're represented from the startups, the scale ups and the scale outs. And that includes the likes of Lloyds in terms of the banks, but also the newer players, the open banking solutions in terms of Vine. We also have merchants involved. The post office has a representation on our group. And of course, the schemes, MasterCard's heavily involved as well. And of course, we're led by Jane, who is a barrister in her own right, and also very embedded into financial crime and the different organisations and regulators involved in that. And that's given us the influence that we need as a group. But we're constantly looking for new people, companies that want to make impact. So what I'll do is I'll talk to Jane a little bit now about what we've been doing. So we're all about collaboration in this group. And I think we've had a lot of interesting parties come and present to us so that we can understand not just what we're doing, but really have a really good understanding of what other organisations are doing and how we can work together. Because there's many of them, and it's choosing the ones that are basically where we can have the most impact. So Jane, first question for you is, could you give me some information about who's come in to speak to us?
Andrew. Yeah, we've had a presentation from the payment systems regulator. Chris Hemsley came to talk to us, and that was fascinating. We've also had FinCrime Dynamics, who are a relatively new company. They have synthetic data which can be used to train models, machine learning models, and that kind of thing. And the FCA has recently consulted on the use of that synthetic data. The last presentation we had, last meeting, was from Jonathan Frost at Stop Scams UK. And Jonathan came to tell us about some of the most recent scams and the work they've been doing. And that was absolutely fascinating. We've also, in the project, we are at the moment mapping our stakeholders, because there are so many entities that we interface with, regulators, apart from our membership, regulators, non-governmental organisations, lots of organisations, because FinCrime is such a broad topic, covering not only money laundering, but also bribery, corruption, and some of those sorts of issues. And people who belong to the project really care about trying to stop financial crime. We're all aware that fraud has gone up massively of late, and the membership are dedicated for the most part to trying to help stop fraud and stop money laundering. And that's a great sort of ethos that we've got within the group.
Yeah, and what's unique about the group is, I think, or what's unique about the Payments Association is the fact that there's all this huge ecosystem, lots of regulated bodies doing different things, but they don't have access necessarily to the fintechs and the work that's already been done to solve some of these real world issues. So, having that access to the membership, we found has been really important, haven't we, Jane?
Absolutely. And we've been very influential. We've just recently put in a response to the PSR consultation about confirmation of payee. And of course, we did a major exercise last year when the Treasury were reviewing all the anti-money laundering regulations. and we put in a response on that. So we are an influential body, and we do respond to as many of those consultations as we can, certainly the most important ones and the ones that are affecting the membership the most.
Could you give me 3 highlights from the work that we've done this year for the members? I mean, you can mention, there's been 7 altogether, but I would focus in on the top 3 and maybe mention the others as well.
Well, it's certainly, it's not just what we've done, but what we're also going to do, because we've got a major conference coming up in November the 22nd. That's our big Financial Crime 360 conference. There's a website dedicated to that where people can have a look at it. We've also got some additional categories now in the awards ceremony on the 5th of October relating to financial crime. And we're going to have a white paper that we will produce later this year, which is being sponsored by Visa. And the topic for that is about to be introduced. So
I guess it's worth saying here that if anyone's got anything specific that they think we should cover, we're all ears as well.
Absolutely. We'd be delighted to hear from people. We're also supporting the FCA Text Print, because they're having a text print which is focusing on synthetic data and the use of that synthetic data, as I mentioned. And that's something that some of our members are already actively involved in. That's going to be a text print in September. And if anybody wants to know any more details of that, obviously do email in. We'll let you know how you can support that event. But apart from that, the reform of the anti-money laundering laws, we will be producing a note on that, because there are quite a number of things that are happening. As you mentioned, not only do we cover the more traditional financial services companies, but we also cover firms which are in open banking and crypto. And there are quite a few changes coming up on the crypto front and on open banking, which people need to be aware of following that review of the anti-money laundering regime.
I think the exciting, we're at a pivot point, aren't we, in terms of old money and new money. And I mean, I don't say that with class in mind here. I say it in terms of how we're seeing this pivot and shift towards the likes of blockchain, crypto. It's certainly not at a tipping point by any means. It's still at the very early stages. But the point is that we're able to leverage from our community the expertise across all of those areas. And in the group, there's some real experts across all of those areas, which we're welcoming more to join as well. More people that have this interest. We want to be the richest project group there is.
Absolutely, completely agree with you. We've been very fortunate in who we've got as members, and we're really keen to have as much broad expertise as we can have within the group. I'm delighted with the people that we have, because they are very active in many cases and do provide some fantastic insight.
That's great. And anything else in terms of the regulatory work that we're doing that you'd like to discuss?
Well, as I said, a lot of the changes that we're going to see will be coming in. We've got some changes coming in September this year. We've got some coming in next year on crypto assets and the extension of what's called the travel rule. So some of those things are quite detailed. Members do need to know about them. There's a new obligation to report material discrepancies where you have carried out customer due diligence. That's going to come in next year. So we do want to publicise those changes broadly amongst the members so that they are aware of them. And that's one of our functions, to make sure that people are keeping up to date with all those new developments which happen every week in financial crime.
Yeah, it's incredibly busy. And I know we've done some work recently on things like push payment fraud, also confirmation of payee. Did you want to discuss a little bit about what we're doing there?
Yes, thank you. Actually, to go back on the FCA Text Print, the FCA Text Print is in fact on push payment fraud.
That's right, yes.
And a couple of our members are very active in that field and are going to be taking part in the text print itself, because the FCA is looking for people to help come along and help solve some of the problems, because APP fraud, as you know, has been a major problem recently.
Yeah, and a problem for businesses, consumers, and also a problem for our members who have clients using their or consumers using their virtual cars or different products. And it's a problem for us all. And we, like you say, we're really passionate to solve it. We know that the UK has one of the best regulators in the world, and we know that if there's a will, that we'll find that will. And part of that is we're an active group that wants to we know we have some of those answers. It's just getting the answers through these consultations to the right people as well. I guess rounding up now, Jane, we're halfway through the year, but we have a successful 6 months ahead. You mentioned the FinCrime conference. Of course, anyone that wants to exhibit or speak at that conference, they should get in contact with the Payments Association around that. But also, what's up and coming?
Well, I think people are going to have their plates full, actually, with things that have already been announced in terms of changes that we know will happen over the next period. The most exciting aspect is a new economic crime plan from the government, which they have promised to publish in the next few months. And that will be an update, because we have a 3-year economic crime plan, and we will certainly be getting involved in the group that is the strategic part of that plan, because the government does want private sector to be involved and help solve some of the problems. It can't all be on the public sector. And of course, we've also got the major reform of Companies House, which hasn't yet been announced. There has been a white paper, but there will be shortly a major reform of Companies House happening. And that's also something that will help, as well as the new digital identity framework, which has been part of the DCMS. So we've got many things coming up which will make a difference on the financial crime front.
Many of these things long overdue as well, Jane. Let's hope that once we're over this leadership election, we can focus back on, the government can focus back on, many of the issues that we're great at in the UK. We've got the largest financial services sector outside of the US. We've got more companies regulated through the FCA than any outside of regulated bodies outside of the US. Again, compared to the rest of the world, Singapore comes third. So, we want to maintain that, these standards, and also protect the people, the businesses, and help grow global populations to thrive through the work that we do. I think that sort of wraps up, the group. We're very open to new members, and also new members to the Payments Association that might want to join this group. Thank you so much, for everything that you have done, Jane. It's, the reason why the group is so successful is because of the hard work and also thinking that you lead it with.
Thank you, Angela. It's a pleasure to do that. I really enjoy it.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.